Greetings and salutations, my fellow consumers of hash and roast beast. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined, as always, by the boy.
Hey!
This is the Two Nerds Podcast, and it's that time again for cats to explode in the background and for us to do movie homework, where we review movies in brief that we saw in previous years and keep track of on our Facebooks, where you should not try to hang out with us.
Yeah, there we go. Summarized. I'm going to warn you guys in advance. My list for this year is very short.
This is, I believe, the shortest movie homework of all the movie homeworks.
This'll be one episode. Yeah. I'm pretty confident about that one.
Last year was actually shorter for me. The last episode you guys saw. But this is the shortest for you. We still got a little time on this year, so maybe this year will be the shortest.
It's not unlikely.
But, we were talking about it, and we stopped living with people who watched movies, like a lot.
Just, would have them on in the background, and since I'm in the same room, I am technically watching the movie. Level of watching a movie. And also, I just don't watch movies much anymore. I can't explain it. It's just not what I jive to.
I was working for a while. I prefer to watch movies in the theater because of the adhood. I just fell out of it for a while. I was watching other stuff, but now I'm at a point where my YouTube, what I usually watch, is just not that interesting to me.
So you're watching more stuff.
And I'm watching more movies.
Whereas I didn't watch a lot of movies for personal reasons, at least partially, last year. Nothing super dramatic. I just had a very, very stressful, toxic job I no longer have.
It took up a lot of your time as well.
Yes. So now that I have a better job that is awesome, you would think I'd watch more movies, but I don't. I think something about that year just broke the habit, and now I just don't think about, I could put on a movie when I have 2 hours to kill. I think, I could play video games for 35 minutes, and then I could watch this one 10-minute YouTube video and watch this 20-minute YouTube video.
That's kind of happening with video games, I will say. It's a lot harder for me to sit down and just play a video game for a long time. Streaming has helped. Speaking of which, you guys can go check out my stream at twitch.tv/whiteraven, I think.
He's a good streamer.
I'm an okay streamer, but...
if you want to interact with me on the internet, that's usually pretty hard because I don't tweet. And even if you somehow found my personal Facebook, I don't talk on there either. I am very active in White's chat.
I do like to interact with my chat, meager though it presently is. I just think that's fun as a person who watches streams, so I like to try to emulate that when I am streaming. But planning on doing it Mondays and Thursdays is my rough schedule at present. I'll do it more if more people come hang out, because it'll be fun. Right now we're talking about movies. So let's talk about movies. This is the year 2019, to bring back a dead meme.
It was only ever funny for the two of us for a bit, and then it just became how we said the year for 3 years.
Hey man, what are memes?
What are memes?
What are memes? We started the years we should always do with Saint Young Men. Your quote, sir?
My quote is, "It's just 10 yen. It's 11 yen."
The quote I chose was, "It's good to have friends."
Because it is.
It is good to have friends. I don't know that we need to cover this movie any more than we've covered this movie
so many times. Go back and watch the previous podcasts. You don't even have to watch all of them, although you should, and like and comment and subscribe and all that stuff. You could watch the first 10, 15 minutes of any of the previous movie homeworks, except maybe the first one, to get a review of this movie. I love this movie. This movie's like a warm blanket, and I will be starting 2021 with it.
Yes, we will not make that mistake again. We're very sorry. so very sorry. Deeply sorry.
Gomenasai.
Yeah. Then, both of us watched the movie Bolt.
Yeah, it is not a movie I ever expected to watch. I legitimately never assumed that I was going to watch this movie. I saw a preview for it back when it came out and went, oh, well, that's a movie I'll never watch. I believe I said so out loud. And lo, how the future has proven me wrong. This movie's fun.
Yeah, I had a good time watching it. It was predictable, but enjoyable.
That's not bad.
No.
Like, it's fine that it's predictable. It's a fun film. It's not like high art, but it's good. It's good, entertaining watch.
Yes. What was your quote?
It's a good day to die.
I chose Aliens.
Good.
Yes. I don't think I have anything else to say about that film.
Me neither, really. There's not much to say. It's a fairly predictable movie.
Yeah. It's better than I thought it was going to be, though. Like, I had a good time watching it.
Yeah. Oh, like I said, good, fun time.
I went to see a movie with my girlfriend called Isn't It Romantic? It's basically 2019's answer to Not Another Romance Comedy.
Oh.
But, like, good, though.
I
Like,
feel
Not
like
Another
that's probably
teen
not-
movie. Remember how that was actually good? But then the rest of the Not Anothers were very bad.
Kind of.
Anyway, this was fine. We had fun watching it. It was silly. I laughed.
Not Another teen movie was okay. It had a couple funny scenes.
Yeah.
I never saw this. I have nothing to say about it.
No.
It doesn't look interesting, to be
I
perfectly
can't imagine
honest.
it would be a film you would care much about.
Well, because, alright, so assuming, let's put aside the fact that this looks god-awful. I'm going to take your statement on faith and assume it's probably a pretty good example of the parody film genre. It's parodying of genre movies I don't like to the extent that I don't watch them. So I don't know what the jokes are.
Yeah.
I have no frame of reference. It'd be like watching a scary movie when you've never seen a horror movie in your life. Yeah, I guess the joke about weed might be funny, but the jokes about horror movies aren't going to land, so the movie's really weirdly empty feeling.
Mm-hmm. This does lean very hard on assuming you know what a romantic comedy's tropes are, so...
And I don't.
Yeah.
I don't watch them.
Yeah. No, this is never a film I would recommend to you. Maybe some of the gift sets of, like, the most obvious, genre-transcending jokes, but certainly not just...
The only tropes I know from romantic comedies are tropes I very much dislike.
Sure, yes. The quote I chose was, "You're quite beguiling, aren't you?" Which was a bit of an arc phrase. Then I watched a comedy special, turning into you now.
Yeah.
With these comedy specials. Ellen DeGeneres Relatable. It wasn't that funny. And it's 2020 now, and everyone hates Ellen, so,
You were early on that train.
No, I didn't hate her, and whatever.
No,
it's
I
the
mean, I don't
corporate world.
hate Ellen.
don't
Oh,
either.
what? The old lady? The old white lady's mean? Oh, wow, I'm stunned!
Corporate America is mean.
Why are you people surprised?
Like, this is not... I guess because Ellen dances for them like a puppet, that she has any sort of, like...
Did none of you ever watch Death to Smoochie? Is that what this is? Is that the difference between me and all the people surprised that Ellen is
I
like a
guess.
normal person with, like, pet peeves and can be crabby sometimes?
Yeah. Whatever. Anyway. The quote I chose was, "I gotta get the fuck out of here."
That's good. That ties in.
I like this comedy special. I didn't find it that funny, but it was, like, nice.
Ellen's comedy's usually not very funny.
No, there was a reason I wasn't a big fan of hers back in the day.
But she's like a reasonably good Nilla wafer
Yeah.
as a comedian.
Delicious.
Like, good, but not, like, great.
Yeah.
And not anything you write home about, but not a bad experience. I've seen a few Ellen comedy specials back in the day. Usually that's about the vibe.
Yeah, I kind of liked her show, but that's about it.
I never saw it. I was too
No,
young.
you were too young and not watching that kind of programming.
By the time I was old enough to have watched that kind of programming, she'd been canceled a long time.
Yeah. Then I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. Again. This is a theme. I got some spoilers for 2020, buddy.
Oh, I know.
The quote I chose this time was, Chevy Nova? God.
It's a fun movie.
It's weird that it's taken this long in my life for this to have reclimbed the ladder and become one of my favorite films, but like every time I watch it I find something new to appreciate about it, and it's never Raphael's delivery. And I love Raphael, don't get me wrong, but man, some of those lines, it's like that actor was an alien.
I'm always gonna there's a part of me which is always gonna be more partial to Secret of the Ooze.
Sure.
Because it's the one I saw more as a kid. It's the one I believe the one I had on VHS, so I saw it a lot more than the original. But this is a good movie.
Yeah. See if we're catching up to you now. Hey, we did it. Why don't you take point on this one while I am eerily silent for just a moment?
Okay. As White is descending the catacomb into his lair of meditation, where he will be eerily silent for the remainder of this speech. Let me talk to you guys about Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is the third movie I saw in 2020. Now, I'm going to say something which canny viewers might find surprising. I like this movie. It's not a bad film. I don't think it's one of my favorites of the MCU. I would go so far as to say it's probably... I don't even know that it's my least favorite MCU movie. It's just not one of the ones I like very much. But I like it okay, and I feel like they did the best they could with what they had. Because, as I've probably mentioned on the podcast before, Captain Marvel Carol Danvers, not Marvel, he's a sweet cinnamon roll and he's done nothing wrong. Carol Danvers is a character who, in the comics, I hate. She's awful. She's mean, crabby, unpleasant to be around, never does anything cool, and she's essentially just a fascist. I don't like that character. I like the character in the movie. That is a huge win, because I was not coming into this movie expecting to have a good time. I was watching it for completionist's sake, and because I watch the MCU movies. But I don't like the character in the comics, so I was not expecting to enjoy this, and I did. It's not a perfect movie, but it is a good movie, and I think that gets lost in over-focusing on the criticisms that are valid and are there. So I wanted to get that bit out front. And I've stalled for enough time. White's back.
From my silence.
From his catacomb of meditation, as I established.
Yes. I had to fight a skeleton of anxiety and steal an artifact of inner peace from the Frenchmen that live inside my body in the catacomb of meditation.
Of course. What did you think of Captain Marvel?
At the time, I liked it. Having since watched Birds of Prey, it's worse Birds of Prey.
I have not seen Birds of Prey. I am given to understand it's a movie I would like, but for the fact that they absolutely bastardized one of my favorite characters in comics, and I would never, ever, ever be able to get over it and just like the movie for what it is, because I'm a humongous grognard bitch.
Well, and this movie does a couple of similar missteps.
The difference is I already didn't like Captain Marvel, so you can change her and I'm happy.
I was talking about your distaste for what they did to Nick Fury.
Oh, yes. Yes. Like I said, there are valid criticisms of this movie.
Sure.
How they decided to fill in how Nick Fury lost an eye is a unbelievable titanic waste of storytelling potential and undercuts the seriousness of a character who is fundamental to the MCU. In a way, he's not even fundamental to comics. It was a bad decision. It was a stupid fucking decision. I hate it. But I still like the movie. Which says it must be pretty good.
Well, and the similarities between the two are fairly strong in terms of theming and intention and stuff like that. I feel like Birds of Prey handles a female positive mindset way better than Captain Marvel does. I think they both do it, but Captain Marvel's a lot of their,
It's a little on the nose.
It's a little on the nose. It feels a little too disingenuous by way of it being so obvious.
Yeah.
Where,
I think it can be summarized as the climactic battle scene of the movie probably shouldn't have been I'm Just a Girl in terms of soundtrack.
Well,
that was a bad call. It doesn't fit the scene, and it's hilariously fucking on the nose.
Yeah, stuff like that. And Birds of Prey had a similarly, a soundtrack with a lot of like iconic anthems, but they were scored properly.
I mean, there are lots of songs that have similar theming and similar messaging.
You could have gone with a fucking cover.
Tonally, for what's happening on the screen, which is the only problem I have with that song.
Sure.
It's just a tonal misfit for a climactic battle scene. I love that fucking song.
Sure, same.
It's just not. It's not. Doesn't cover it. Yeah, use a cover.
Yeah.
I know they were going period for the music.
Sure.
But
this kind of
use one of the many other songs by other bands that existed at the time with female vocalists that were much heavier and grungier and fit the kind of very, street fight sort of thing that was happening at that time.
I'm hoping the sequel handles everything a little better. I'm hoping this was
Might give us fucking Spectrum, so like.
Well, we are getting Spectrum in one of the TV series. I just don't remember
man, you know what, Captain Marvel? I'll take every flaw. I'll take the stupid Nick Fury thing. You're giving me Spectrum. Monica Rambeau is great. Yeah. She's everything I wanted Carol Danvers to be as like a character in that sort of role.
We go into this pretty deep on our actual podcast about it, but I knew you would want to talk about this a little bit because,
I like, and this might be me having changed my opinion with time because I barely remember what I said on the podcast.
Similar, it was just fresher. I'm looking forward to watching this again.
Oh, same. I think fresh eyes and watching it again will help me enjoy the parts that I liked more and kind of be able to look over the parts that I didn't like.
Oh, we did not do quotes. What was your quote here?
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Quote I had was, "I have nothing to prove to you."
My quote was, "Am I supposed to guess where that is?" Did we both watch this John Mulaney comeback special?
I believe that's a different one. No, yeah, we watched it separately.
We did. I watched it, then you watched it.
Yep, because you told me it was good.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of want to get back into like watching stand-up comedy now and then. There are some comedians that are more in line with the kind of comedy I enjoy and not just shitting on things funnily. This was good. John Mulaney's good. You don't need me to tell you that. The quote I chose was, "Now, I don't know if you've been following the news, but I've been keeping my ears open, and it seems like everyone everywhere is super mad about everything all the time."
Oh, John Mulaney in 2018. Oh, my sweet summer child. You had no idea what was coming. I also watched the same comedy special, and I chose, what do you think those guys are celebrating?
It was good. I recommend it. It's still on Netflix.
And it's a fucking very funny comedy special.
Wow, we picked like the same scene for this image.
Oh, well, that's because we both were so hype about this movie.
And we didn't want to spoil it.
We didn't want to spoil it, so we picked a scene that was in the trailer.
Yeah.
This is one of the few times we intentionally picked the same scene. It was one of the few pictures, because we do little pictures with these, available online, because we saw it in the theater, and we didn't want to do spoilers at all. And have we done a podcast on this?
We had to have.
Like,
I'll check while you're sitting here. You can take point on this one.
Well, I mean, the only reason I think maybe we wouldn't have is because it would have just been Guardians of the Galaxy.
And maybe that's entirely possible.
Would have just been us fucking screaming about how amazing it was. We watched Avengers Endgame at this point in 2019. Avengers Endgame is so fucking good. It is so goddamn good. It is there's the Captain Marvel podcast. There it is, Endgame. 34 minutes.
Yeah, okay. There it is. Wow, we kept it to 34 minutes. Go us.
Yeah, that was... It's only because we didn't fucking spend 20 years quoting the movie. This is a perfect climax. I love this. This is 20 movies, 10 years, cinematic experience that I'm aware I'm never going to have the like again in my entire life. And I'm okay with that because this was a like a singular moment. And if your opinion of me is lessened by knowing that I consider this to be probably one of the best movies I've ever watched in terms of being an absolute culmination to like this sort of uniquely huge connected universe, I don't care because it's true.
You are irrepressible, and that's one of my favorite things about you. I presently, having only seen this movie once, define this film as an experience.
Yes.
And I cannot, having seen this film once and only having seen it when we saw it,
in the theater with everyone, with a huge crowd that was super into it, and like as like feeling the power flowing through us from everyone else hyped up about the movie. It was an experience.
I don't think I am qualified presently to evaluate this film on its merits as a film.
Oh, actually, you know what? That's a fair point. This might, on its own, devoid of the other MCU movies, be a terrible movie.
I don't care if on its own, devoid of the other movies, it's good or bad. That's a stupid fucking way to look at part 20 in the series.
Yes.
Idiot. Watch the other
If you
movies.
open the last chapter of The Return of the King and read it, you're not going to get much payoff.
So that's not my point here. It's just that because of the situation we were in, I don't think I can.
You feel like the hype was too real. You need a cooler head.
I don't
another
even
viewing.
Feel that way. I
You
know that.
You gonna get it. We gonna
Yes.
watch this movie again.
We are rewatching these movies. I look forward to seeing it again. I look forward to giving you guys the 2021 podcast in 2022, where we cover our watching of this movie.
Yeah, because we're not gonna get to this till early 2021 in our rewatch. So it'll be a couple years before you hear about our rewatch of it.
I'm sorry, kids, but I am looking for. I'm pretty sure it's at least a good movie. Like
I don't care.
I've got good odds on that.
I don't even care if it's a good movie.
Well, and if I watch it again and it's a bad movie, I'll be like, wow, well, I'm really glad I had the experience. But I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think that I was so
I
up
don't
on
think
the
I'd be
fucking
able
hype
to tell.
juice. Maybe, man. Maybe.
I am biased as fuck. I am not a neutral party. I like this movie and I'm always going to. I know that about myself.
Well, and that is in and of itself. You said there's going to be a short podcast. We're prattling on at like movie number 5. Good thing there's only 10 left. These were big movies, though. Like,
yeah.
The stuff we saw this year was either not worth talking about or it's worth fucking talking about. It is strange for me to watch a film and not be able to have a critical reaction to it immediately. This is the exception in the last 10 years. And I feel that says something in and of itself.
I think so too. The quote I chose was, "That's the hero gig."
The quote I chose was, "Shit." Oh man, I saw this movie and you didn't.
Nope.
Shazam. The quote I picked was, "Old enough to know that was great music." Is a good punchline to a decent setup. This was fun and explored some things I wasn't expecting it to. It's not a Marvel Universe movie. I would put it on about the level of Ant-Man if the people who were making Ant-Man weren't quite as good at making Ant-Man.
I didn't see this movie. I don't care about the DC Universe.
I think you'd like
fucked
this
it
film.
up.
I think you'd like this film.
I think I'd like this film in a vacuum. And I like Captain Marvel. I'm not going to call him Shazam. As a character. But like, I don't know. It just doesn't... Nothing about this movie makes me want to watch it. Nothing pulls me in. There's no draw here.
Hey, that's fair, man. I had fun with it.
I'm really glad.
Yeah.
I'm feeling very chatty today.
Yeah, that's fine, brother. Look, these kids, they're going to get a big, long podcast in their Christmas stocking. I think this is like a week before Christmas. You guys are so far in the
We're
future.
recording in advance.
We record in advance now. Y'all know that. Anyway. Next, I watched Detective Pikachu. This was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I had more of a strong emotional reaction to it than I thought I was going to have. And, man, it was fun. Just big live-action Pokemon spectacle stuff was fun. They did not have to try very hard to make this movie, and they did more than they needed to. Yeah.
Nice. That's what you want.
It wasn't explosively good. It's not like a life-defining movie, but I liked it.
I haven't seen it.
Nope.
I had no desire to, so I didn't go with you.
Nope. It is what it is. The quote I chose was, "Every step for you is 1,000 for me, and my lungs the size of grapes." There was a better quote, but I couldn't remember, and it wasn't on IMDb, so we moved on. Good Lord, man. You just did not watch a lot of movies.
Nope, this is mostly you, homie.
Yeah.
That's why I'm talking so much about the movies I did watch.
Yeah.
Gotta get my shit in.
I watched Rocket Man. I don't need to tell you guys that movie was good. It received enough praise. Inaccurate though it was, much like the Bohemian Rhapsody movie.
I feel like it was a very similar vibe. Was it also good movie, bad biopic?
I'm going to go with our commenter, who insists on using biopic.
Oh, I also do. I did that because I wanted to.
No, for this bit, and so I am responding as is our ancient accord.
Of course.
Some of the details are fuzzy and fudgy. I don't think it's quite as bad as Bohemian Rhapsody, but at the same time, they include like fantastic elements, like to embellish the mood.
Right. Okay.
Like, there's a point where he's playing a piano on a stage and literally starts like floating a little bit. Obviously, they're not trying to say the man actually was flying, but like, you know, they're just kind of getting you into the vibe.
Yeah, they're getting into the vibe. They're going metaphorical.
Yes. So like, and that helped ease things around, and there's a construct about it, but it was fun. I liked it a lot. I learned a lot about Elton John and the guy he writes songs with, whose name is either always in my head or never, and this is a never time.
Okay then.
The quote I chose was, "Write some songs."
Just like Detective Pikachu. It seems like a fine film. Just didn't watch it. Didn't want to.
No. Well, and honestly, how to put this delicately?
You don't think I'd like it very much?
No, I think you'd like it too much.
Oh!
A film about two best friends going through life and trying to be there for each other, even though one is a gigantic dramatic diva that blows everything out of proportion, and still making it through to the other side after all these fucking years.
Shit, yeah, I probably shouldn't watch this movie. 2020, the boy weep openly. That's not a smart call.
It was a good film, though.
You're giving me the Logan on this one. Do not watch this movie for your sanity, my friend.
I mean, just know what you're going into, is all I'm saying. I wouldn't tell you not to watch it, but unless I wanted you to watch it. Then I watched The Greatest Showman.
Oh, I'm slain.
Quote I chose was, "The noblest art is that of making others happy," because I agree with that violently. I
think this is also another Bohemian Rhapsody, in that it is widely held as a good movie and a terrible fucking biopic.
No. It's a fun... I have so many problems with this fucking movie. There's a YouTuber named... I believe this is who I watched this from. Jenny Nicholson. She's way more popular than either of us. She, I believe, has a deconstruction of why this movie is not good. She can say everything that I'm about to say in brief better and in greater detail with a more educated position to speak from. I don't know why you would want to make a musical about a character you want people to review positively. Mm-hmm. And then, instead of just making up a fictional character, choosing one of the worst human beings in the circus industry.
So therefore one of the worst human beings of that time frame.
And then, like, put some fucking shoe polish on that boy.
Like, this is... Because this... correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know much about this film. This is about P.T. Barnum.
This is about P.T. Barnum. They invent whole characters that don't... That man, that Zac Efron there, does not exist. Not a person.
So, like...
And I don't mean in the context of the film, like he's his imaginary friend. This character is made the fuck up. If you were already going to make up a whole fucking character, why not just do it about someone who isn't P.T. fucking Barnum?
So, like... You know what? I'll make an explanation by example. There's mentioning more popular content on your content. This is a rule we have long since thrown in the garbage where it belongs. I listened to The Dollop, a very popular podcast. It's essentially about terrible people throughout history. And for like a year, P.T. Barnum was the fucking Nick Fury of the awful goddamn motherfuckers Avengers. As he showed up in, like, every now and again, he'd show up like a cameo, doing something terrible in a different dollop, working with whoever the villain of the week is. Because this man is fucking... He was Satan. He was an awful person.
There are worse people, but, like, y'all used to come to this channel for wrestling stuff. You know Vincent Kennedy McMahon?
Yeah, he's a P.T. Barnum type.
Yes.
They're of a mold. P.T. Barnum was an old school carny.
Yes.
With all of the bad that implies. And... Boy, howdy, as I understand it, he's the hero in this.
Just a good guy. A good guy.
I'm going to steal a joke. I don't remember who from. Someone made a really funny joke about this movie, which was they could have fixed it. This is the extent to what I know about the film. They could have fixed it by having Hugh Jackman spike the lens at the end, go, and that's how it all really happened, and wink.
That would have been pretty good, yeah. Now, all that said, as much as this movie gets under my fucking skin, it was a decent musical. And it's been a while since we've had a decent musical in Hollywood, other than, like, the ones that came out in 2019, I think, or the one with Lady Gaga. It was good. I don't know. It was fine. It was a good entry. It is what it is. Wonderful soundtrack. Well performed.
I don't hate musicals. A younger me did. He was an edgelord. They're fine. I'm not a like enthusiast of the genre, so I don't know dick all about it.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, look up that Jenny Nicholson video. I'm almost positive it was her, and she'll explain my thoughts better than I can. Okay, now we're back together again. Please, my friend, talk about this film.
Then, this is the next time I watched a movie. Yes, remember how long ago that was? That's how long. It's months. We watched Spider-Man: Far From Home. The quote I chose was, "I love Led Zeppelin."
Bitch, please, you've been to space.
That's a great quote.
It's a good quote.
It is a fun-ass movie.
Yeah.
It's got some plot issues, but I don't care. It's fun. It's a good time. Jake Gyllenhaal is clearly having the time of his fucking life playing Mysterio. And, like, I love this Spider-Man. He's different from previous Spider-Men. That's not a bad thing. Sometimes you see people online complaining that, you know, this Spider-Man, like the storylines that this version of Peter Parker goes through aren't very classic storylines from the comics. They're kind of their own thing. Good?
That's what adaptations are about, man.
Good?
And I like that they still pay homage to, like, classic scenes, even classic comic book panels.
Yeah, like, for all the grognards will bitch about how, like, oh, this Spider-Man is just Tony Stark Jr., blah, 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 or whatever. Bitch, they did a live-action adaptation of the most iconic Mysterio panels in the character's history. Unclench. Enjoy the movie.
People suck. This movie didn't.
No.
Did we do a podcast on it? Probably. It was good. Did you have anything else more?
Oh, no. Nothing worth getting into.
Okay, I'm still... You watched something without me, though, so we'll get there. I rewatched Airheads because I met a person who hadn't seen Airheads.
And thus you had to watch Airheads.
The quote I chose is perennial. If it's too loud, you're too old.
I am in fact too old. Sometimes music is too loud, and I gotta tell the whippersnappers to tone it down. I'm too old. I'm an old man. I am shamed by the people in this movie.
I love this film. There's some stuff that would not be received well socially today.
Oh no! This movie is of its time, and its
sure
time
is.
was the early '90s.
Yeah, but I love it. It's a great film. If you're able to get over that kind of shit and just enjoy a fucking movie, you would enjoy this fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's about rock and roll, and it's got Rob Zombie in it very briefly.
It's so very briefly.
Very briefly.
It's so seminal, so formational to how we talk that literally the phrase "Pip farting on a snare drum" is basically like Shaka when the walls fell for wasted time.
We've used it on the podcast before. This is it was on Comedy Central all the fucking time when I was growing up, so I saw it like dozens of times. Before
For all I know, it's still on Comedy Central all the time.
Shit, man, maybe. It was the movie we broke in this house with. The new Xbox when we moved in here. So, as we talked about on a previous podcast, when we discussed perhaps more in depth our thoughts on Airheads, the movie. I was having a lot of sleepovers this year, so I watched a lot of stuff without you too. Then I watched, like literally that same day, a Goofy movie. This is better than I remember it.
You gonna do the voice? You gonna do the voice for your quote?
No, I think I actually might like tear up if I do. So the quote I chose was, "You're my son, Max. No matter how big you get, you'll always be my son." It was good. Good film.
I don't know that I've ever actually seen it.
Wow, really? I think you might like it.
I think I saw the one where he goes to college.
That's the sequel. I haven't seen that. Stormy says it's good.
Okay.
I think you might like this. God, I heard an interesting take, and holy hell, I'm not going to go into it here. So, again, this is just a fucking check out other YouTube shit. The Beard Bros talk about this movie. And there's a very interesting take in there that I find fascinating, but I am not going to bring up here because I am not fucking qualified to talk about it. So,
okay.
I would Google that.
No idea what you're fucking talking about. Cool shit.
I couldn't even bring it up to you because you haven't seen the film, so you wouldn't get the context.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Like, anyway, I would recommend looking into that. Man, speaking of Ninja Turtles movies, it's like 10 minutes after I watched the Goofy movie, we put in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze. The quote I chose this time was, "First, we must observe the ancient ritual of the traditional pre-fight donut."
This movie, I have too much nostalgia to have an opinion on. It's just, I love this movie.
It's one of those things like how you can break Last Jedi by pointing out the fact that the nonsense that's going on in that last fight in the throne room. Nobody like fucking hits anything in this movie.
No. This was deep. This was deep in late 80s, early 90s cartoon rules. I imagine like that they're allowed to punch people is surprising. Also, fun fact, kind of related, if you ever go back and watch the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, he never punches anyone. In the whole cartoon, he never punches a single person. He will drag things onto people and web people and occasionally suplex people, but he never throws a goddamn punch in that whole cartoon. We're right in that area.
Yeah.
That they are allowed to use weapons is surprising.
They don't even really like they do punches and kicks. I believe that's the only thing that like lands. They don't really use their weapons. I think there's a yo-yo that they attack with briefly and some sausage instead of nunchucks because.
Well, I mean, like to be fair, two of the four weapons are murdering devices. One is at the very least a stick.
Well, sure, like you're saying, it's that early 90s mentality of let's not encourage children to use weapons.
Uh-oh, some little moron DDT'd his sister. Now no one can ever have fun again.
But I like this movie. It's different from the first one. It's funnier. It's bouncier. I think they're both about as good. I prefer the first one because I love the messages in it a lot more. But this is a fun-ass movie.
There's a Super Shredder and Toka and Reza.
Now we go to you, my friend.
Yeah! Remember how long it's been since I talked about a movie I'd seen? It's been months. I watched Dave Chappelle, Sticks and Stones. I'm not going to give you the rest of this joke because I'm not Dave Chappelle, so twofold. One, he does it better, and two, I could not get away with it. I'll give you the punchline. That's you.
That is fair enough. Did you recommend this special?
Oh, it was very funny. Very funny. Modern Dave Chappelle has some misses. He has some misses, but the hits are still absolutely out of the park.
I watched the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. So you're Ninja Mutant Turtle teenagers? Well, when you put it like that, it sounds ridiculous. This
is a fun movie. We talked about it several times that we like this movie, and people who hate this movie are just invested in hating on a producer for some reason.
At this point, these graphics look so fucking normal. Like, Michelangelo's the only one that looks a little weird.
They're not quite Spider-Man, but almost all turtles are good turtles.
Man, yeah, I have to agree with that. Okay, it begins at 40 minutes in.
Ooh, do we have enough then for 2 episodes? Because we've been pitching this for like 3 movie homework podcasts. Every time we come across a Star Wars movie, we go, when we get into watching the whole saga over again, we'll get more into our thoughts on Star Wars. We say that every time, and we kind of roll past it. I think we might have enough for another podcast here, ladies and gentlemen.
Here's my submission, okay?
All right.
Because we talked about this last time we spoke as well, and we were like, do we, don't we? I watched a couple other movies this year. I don't think you did.
I did not. I absolutely did not. I watched one.
You watched one. So let's go ahead and cover those. And let's make the next episode the Star Wars episode. And even cover the movies that...
Like, skip order a little bit, violate the code, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Hang the code.
Hang the code, hang the rules. They're more like guidelines anyway. Let's go.
So in December of 2019, I watched Knives Out. This might be the best thing that's ever happened to you. This was a great mystery, well acted, good cinematography, good message. I had fun with it. It was pretty easy to solve on my own, but that's kind of what you want out of a mystery.
There are 2 versions of a mystery. Either you give the audience all the tools they need to solve it along with the people, or you don't. And both are good for different reasons. But if you're going for the first one, you'd better do it better. It's a higher bar to clear if you're doing the first one.
They kept me guessing a little bit. I don't remember if I called it originally or not.
Well, because there's a reason there's a higher bar to clear if you're doing the first one. Because if you're doing the first one, that means that the people in the movie also have all the information. So you gotta make it tricky, because otherwise you're gonna make it seem like all the people in your movie are morons.
It had a very classic mystery feel too. I liked it a lot.
I'm really glad. I obviously have not seen it.
No, you had it spoiled, you poor bastard, and then
I had it spoiled. Because I wasn't interested in it, so I wasn't like on the lookout in social media blackout, and then fucking showed up on my Twitter timeline. This is the ending to Knives Out. Oh, okay. Well, I don't ever need to see that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not taking the ride, it's only sitting there to enjoy the scenery, which is a lot of good stuff there, but like it diminishes it drastically. That's just
from what I understand. It it's a really good movie. Maybe Rian Johnson should stick with mysteries. That's what you call foreshadowing. On December 16th, I watched 6 Underground. It's a movie from 2019. The quote I chose is, "Can I ask you something? If you had one shot, one opportunity to see everything you ever wanted, in one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip?" The next line in the movie is, "Did you just quote Eminem?"
Yeah, I think it was in a trailer I saw or something.
Oh, this is fun as fuck. It is a great time of a movie. It is stupid. Not like bombastically so, but this is a movie that belongs to the year 2010. It came out in 2019. It's just it is a different era of movie they don't make anymore. So I was so happy because I love this kind of movie. I love, sort of jocular, half comedic action movies. It's why I like
the word jocular more.
Yeah, okay. It's one of the reasons I like the Marvel movies because they run on a similar formula but with superheroes. This is a crass movie to a certain extent, and it's not the best movie I've ever seen by any stretch, but it is such a good time. I had a fun time with it. I believe I said to someone on social media when they asked me if it was good, like, that actually, yeah. You know what? I'll just read what I said. Thank you for expanding this, because this is what I thought, where I thought. This is a movie directed by Michael Bay, starring Ryan Reynolds. It is exactly what you think of when you hear that sentence. If that sounds like something you want to see, you're going to love it.
I might check it out sometime. Now that I'm watching movies again. I've got a lot of other stuff to catch up on, though. Anything else to say?
No.
All right, cool. Let us get to the last movie I watched in 2019, which was Purple Rain. Never get married.
Good advice. And why was that the last movie he watched in 2019? Well, we'll talk about that in the next episode.
It was on during Christmas.
Yes, but I thought you specifically sought it out to cleanse your palate.
Maybe I did. Maybe no. We were unwrapping presents with the family.
That's right.
I was paying more attention to it than anybody else in the room because I love this movie. But I said it in the past podcast. I've said it before on other podcasts, I'm sure. If you ever want to understand the phrase "show don't tell" and how it can work, this is your fucking movie.
I'm not a guy who's a huge fan of Prince. This is a really good fucking movie. Separate from Prince's music, which can carry a bad movie a long way. This is a really fucking good movie.
So we will leave you with the words that I was left by my sister. Merry Princemas.
Merry Princemas to all, and to all a Prince night. Everything's better when nerds talk about it.